Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, a little bit late with the video, so I'm not going to talk about anything else. Just rattle through and just show the charts really for the next week to 10 days. This takes up to around the 17th of September, so going into the second half of the month. Now, it's been a pretty cold start to September, to say the least. This is the latest provisional central England temperature from Hadley up to yesterday, the 6th of September, and we're standing at 12.9, which is an anomaly of getting on for 2 degrees below average. This is the old 61 to 1990 average as well. So if you were to compare this to a more modern average, sort of 81 to 2010, it would probably be over 2 degrees colder than average for the first 6 days of September. Now remember, this is provisional, so not the final word on it by any means. We've got plenty of the month still to go. It will warm up a bit over the coming weeks, so this is probably just about the lowest it's going to get. May go a little bit lower than this, but I don't think going much lower. I mean, it'll start to come back up again actually as we go through the last stages of this week and into weekend. It's certainly been a very, very chilly start to September, probably the coolest since the early 1990s, something like that. So we just have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days from the 500 meter height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF on the top. I'll flip these around now. So the ECMWF is on the top and the GFS is on the bottom of the screen. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Blue extrapolates to low pressure, and orange, red, both sort of colours, extrapolating to high pressure. So what both of them are showing is that we've got a trough in the Atlantic through to the middle part of the month. ECMWF is a bit deeper with the trough, but they've both got the trough there in the Atlantic, bringing unsettled conditions in off the ocean. Now, we also have this ridge sitting up to the northeast of the country. That's the ridge that's going to give us a lot of dry weather through the course of this week. But the trend is definitely through the weekend and into next week to push this ridge back to the east and really to bring the jet stream in rather like that. So I think we are seeing a pretty good trend here to turn things quite unsettled as we go through the weekend and into sort of the third week of September, with the Atlantic striking back a little bit against the high pressure. You can see this on the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles. Deal with the temperatures first of all. There's not a great deal going on with the temperatures. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. We're still below average at the moment, not as cool as we have been, but still below the 30-year average. This week we will see an improvement. Now, you've probably been hearing about temperatures going up to 80 Fahrenheit and things like that in the newspapers this morning. It's not going to get that warm, I don't think. We're going to see temperatures lifting up somewhat. So we're going to go something to below 20 Celsius, so below 70s Fahrenheit. But I'm not really seeing a very hot spell of weather coming up at this stage. That's not to say it can't happen. You can get temperatures going into the 80s Fahrenheit in September. I'm just not seeing a great deal of sign of it for this week. But I'll keep watching to see whether those high temperatures do appear. But it looks like it's sort of going back to the 30-year average, which in the sunshine probably be a little bit above average by day. But if it's cloudy and rainy, then average temperatures in terms of the upper air temperatures will probably be a little bit below average under cloud and rain. And we see how we've got cloud and rain coming in. We've got a nice dry slot here at the start of the ensemble for the rest of this week. This takes up to the weekend. This is the 13th of September, just there, so that's Sunday. And that looks like it's the important day, really, Saturday, Sunday, when these precipitation spikes do come back. And then it looks like we're going to quite a wet spell, actually, as we go through the third week of the month. This is 15th of September, just here. And we're well and truly in a wet spell there, if we believe the GFS ensembles. It's quite well supported by the ECMWF and the GEM as well. So we do seem to have pretty good agreement that we're turning unsettled at the weekend and probably staying unsettled then into the second half of the month. The temperature anomaly for the coming week, is going from the 7th to the 15th of September, shows we're around average, so we are improving the temperatures compared to what we have been. If we looked at this a couple of days ago, I was away a few days ago, but if we'd looked at this, say, Friday, we would have been deep blue colours here for the temperature anomaly. It's much closer to average there for the coming week, so we are seeing an improvement with the cool temperatures being pushed off into the east and the southeast Europe. Nevertheless, that doesn't look particularly hot, so this idea of temperatures going into the 80s Fahrenheit, again, not well supported at the moment. A lot of dry weather through the coming week. Remember, the change to wet conditions doesn't really happen until the weekend. That's like 12th, 13th of September. So actually the anomaly for the coming week, 7th to 15th, looks pretty dry. These will trend wetter, I would think, as we move through the week. We'll probably have another look at these charts again on Thursday. I would suspect this will look quite a lot wetter by then. Have a quick look at the temperatures for this week. So maximum temperatures for Wednesday looking like this, around 15 to 17 in the north, 18 to 20 in the south. Pleasant enough, but you wouldn't say it's a heat wave. The hot weather, hot air is down across southern central parts of France, where we are going up into the 80s Fahrenheit. As we move through into Thursday, that's probably the peak of the temperatures this week, possibly getting up to 22 or 23 is around 73 Fahrenheit. It will be pleasant. It's a bit above average for the 10th of September. A bit of an east wind then probably starts to pull the temperatures back down again on Friday, but still pleasant enough, 21, 22. Keep those sort of temperatures into weekend, low 20s Celsius. And by Sunday, and this when it's turning unsettled, of course, then the temperatures are dropping back into the teens Celsius, as we've got much more in way of cloud and rain. So no sign there, really, of anything hot coming up. The highest temperatures appear to be on Thursday at around 23 degrees, 73 Fahrenheit, a bit above average and very pleasant, but not a heat wave. So here we are with the generic chart for Friday. This is the GFS, big area of high pressure in across Scandinavia. If you want cold and snow, this is what you want to be seeing in the winter. High pressure up there over Scandinavia. If you follow the isobars back, you can see they go right back into somewhere in central Russia. So the air is coming from a long way east. Of course, it's September, so it's not cold. But if you get that sort of a chart in January with an area of low pressure around Italy, we haven't got that on this chart, but you can do in the winter. Get a deep area of low pressure around Italy to tighten the gradients, then you know about it. That's sort of the beast from the east being unleashed. But it's only September, so no cold air on the continent at this stage. We bring in slightly cooler air, though, on Friday with these easterly winds. And then it's really watching the breakdown developing over the weekend. That high pressure starts to slip back into the western parts of Russia as low pressure begins to develop around the Bay of Biscay, bringing cloud and rain in off the Atlantic. Looks as though it turns very unsettled by Sunday. Area of low pressure is down to the south of the country. That will be throwing up bands of heavy rain across the country. And then we just stay and settle through to next week. So this is Monday the 14th. New area of low pressure developing in the Atlantic. That spreads wet and windy weather across the country on Tuesday the 15th. With tightly packed isobars, there could be gales in with that, sort of the first autumnal gales perhaps coming through then. And day 10, Thursday the 17th of September, looks like this, with low pressure well and truly around the country. So showers, longer spells of rain, cool temperatures as well. EWF is in agreement with this. There's the high pressure over Scandinavia for Friday. But it's on its way out as we go through into the weekend. So Saturday starts to see low pressure developing out to west and the southwest. By Sunday, low pressure is well and truly in control. Takes a band of rain across the country, probably showers, with another band of rain waiting in the wings for the end of Sunday. And we just stay and settle them through into next week with low pressure dominating. Showers or long spells of rain coming in off the Atlantic through next week. We end up on day 10 with, again, quite a vigorous area of low pressure out to the west. 990 millibars. Tight packed isobars are wrapped around that, so it's windy and wet conditions sweeping across the country. Could be warm ahead of that area of low pressure, but I think really the main thing is that it's unsettled. And then finally have a look at the GEM, the Canadian. It's all in agreement with this. High pressure dominates over Scandinavia to the end of the week with those easterly winds. Then as we go into the weekend, the high pressure receding back into western parts of Russia. It turns increasingly unsettled through the weekend and in start of next week, with low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, bringing bands of heavy rain and at times possibly some quite strong winds as well. Now, the one thing that it looks like I've got very good agreement here for the pattern. Dry up to Friday, breaks down over the weekend, unsettled by the start of next week. The one thing that could go wrong with all of this is that we're transitioning out of high pressure and into low pressure. When this happens, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the models can be too progressive in breaking down the high pressure and bringing the Atlantic back. They sort of want to revert back to a default pattern. So we need to be a little bit cautious about it. But as the breakdown is so relatively early in the time frame, it's happening around Saturday or Sunday, we've probably got pretty good agreement that it's going to occur. But I want to be a little bit more cautious about it just because we're breaking out of a blocking high pressure into an Atlantic pattern, and sometimes that can be the models can be too quick in doing it. We'll eventually get there, of course. The Atlantic will come back, but sometimes it can happen a little bit too quickly. So, bit of caution needed, but it looks like we've got a pretty good agreement across all the models, really, which is lots of dry weather up to Friday. Temperatures peak on Thursday, not a heat wave, but very pleasant, up to around 23 degrees. And then as we go through into the weekend, watch out for low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, bringing cloud and rain, possibly setting us up for quite an unsettled spell in the second half of September. That's the plan today. We'll have another look at all the charts tomorrow. That's it for now. Thanks.